Hello and welcome to the Bodysurf podcast with your budgie boys. Just Tim here and a very special guest, Robbie Meldrum. You're back for another episode of Between the Sets. How you going, mate?
G'day!
Shivers.
Well, you know, last week or the other week I thought it was a good intro, so I thought I'd bring it back with a little bit more gusto.
That was red hot.
Too hot. Sorry about your ears.
All good, mate. All good. Now we've had a big couple of weeks, I guess.
Huge.
How good was the Festival of Froth?
Oh, absolutely frothing. I was just there on the Saturday, so we got to have the IBSA.
Now, a lot of people were upset that we kept getting the acronym wrong.
Yeah, IBS is not a great acronym to start your competition with. You know what I mean? So
I don't like a 4-letter acronym. You got to keep it to 3.
Mate, 2's even better for me.
Remember SMP?
Mate, or just the QA.
The QA.
Yeah, isn't that what they do the Australian Open? QA?
Q&A?
Oh, I don't know.
No, that's something else.
Okay.
Good acronym chat.
Great chat.
Do you want to play the SMP game?
I don't know that game.
You don't know
that game? No.
So there's a brand, a streetwear brand called SMP. And they
like
actually,
DC?
Yeah, it was DC is shoes, yeah.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
SMP was mainly clothes. And everyone would get a belt, the SMP belt, but you had it like hanging all the way down.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Your 3/4 jeans.
Yeah, yeah.
But the brand, the acronym stood for so many possibilities. And they printed out a shirt and it had every single one they had come up with.
All the possibilities.
All the possibilities.
Great, like walking to the shops.
Sex, money, power.
Ooh.
That's the only one I can remember.
Oh, the SMP is the okay. SMP. Sexy men Bodysurf.
That's a B, not a P.
Oh, it's very close.
Bodysurf.
Bodysurf. Bodysurf. We're bodysurfing right now.
This is the Bodysurf podcast.
I like it.
So we had a great time down at the Festival of Froth. Yes, the Saturday was the IBSA competition where 28 competitors went into the running to get on that ranking leaderboard thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's all been updated yet. It's going to be interesting to see where some people land.
Well, where some people land, or when the ultra host with the most lands?
I think I'm going to be pretty low.
You're not last though, mate.
Someone started a rumor that I might be ahead of Uga because
I think you could be ahead of Uga.
Even though he did much better than me, he didn't get into the water in Hawaii.
Ooh, so he gets a negative point.
So yeah, I'm not sure technically
Maybe
how
different year,
that happens.
But, mate, you did well. It was
you.
pretty small waves, small conditions in Avalon, in the northern beaches of Sydney.
Yeah.
And when there's small waves coming through that are shapely, the small wave specialist, Timmy Boy, comes out, and you got some absolute gun waves. He got more than one wave, which is 2 more than he normally gets.
So I didn't know how many waves we were allowed to get. And
6 or 8?
I think it was 8. And in our first heat, and I was in there with some big names, we were all just chilling because we were waiting for a wave to come through and they weren't coming through very consistently. So we were just hanging out. And then I was like, I better start catching some waves. And that's when I did the unthinkable and dropped in on Dylan Kelly.
You did drop in on Dylan Kelly, which was very funny. You know, you're lucky you weren't dressed up as a chocolate eclair, or that guy would have eaten you up, gobbled you up.
He almost did. He did hit my fins with his hand. I apologise. He was cool, lovely bloke. But that meant I only technically got 3 waves in my first heat.
They were good waves. I think one of the standout waves that you got was a left-hander into the soft reef.
That soft reef was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
You could just touch the wall and come back, and you didn't have to swim all the way back in. Because if you were taking those rights, they were going way too far.
Yeah. And you don't get the rip that takes you back into the spot.
The only problem is a lot of people were saying it was hard to see the lefts.
Oh, I think there might have been a few people that are upset that some of those scores might not have counted as much as they could have.
But
that's the way it goes.
And I was happy with a few of those waves, and then I thought, okay. Second heat, I got a second chance. I didn't make it through to the qualifiers, but I got a second chance to have another heat and all my scores would go through or whatever. So I just caught as many waves as I could.
And I was on the mic for that as well, and I did tell the judges extra points for wearing goggles. You convinced me the other week. And it was. You're wearing the goggles. I have the same goggles I wear in the pool.
They're so good.
You get so much
We
vision.
need to get sponsored by these
Oh,
goggles.
they're the great. I think they're the Speedo one. No, they're not the Speedo ones.
They're a different. They're a special surf beach
the Zook?
style. I'm not sure the brand. I've got the box up there. I can check them in a second.
Yeah, maybe in the break.
And we got to get a few ads away.
Oh,
soon.
that's it.
Got to get a breakaway soon. So yeah, in that second heat I just caught as many waves as I could. They scored very low, but at least I got the full 8, and I didn't drop in on anyone.
And you got barreled. You got over the head.
Yeah.
You know, we got to give away the ending of the podcast, but it was always overhead, and you got a wave over the head.
It was just overhead. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I actually enjoyed the surf on the Saturday. The Sunday conditions changed a little bit. It picked up a little
Looked like
bit.
there was a bit more surf there.
Bit messier though. So
a bit more wind into it as well.
and I think a lot more swimming had to be done. So I felt very lazy during Saturday because I barely had to swim. It was a very, very, really relaxing affair out there. At one stage, we were just sitting around having a chat. So Saturday, it was a bit more, even though it was the more social competition, bit more competitive because they were fighting against the elements. And we saw a few of the boys go really, really well. Shout out to Captain Kookman who took out first place in the
Kook.
is it the Masters?
The Masters edition. So he was in the Masters edition for the Northern Beaches Body Surf competition. Yes. So that was in addition to the IBSA.
Yes.
And he did well. But I think a big shout out is, Dan Kookman, he did really well, but his son also competed in the Groms.
Right.
And the Groms, you weren't there for the Groms events. I think you might have chuffed off a little bit early. But the Groms were like absolutely frothing. They had some of the best waves of the day. And the young carboy is coming in and showing his dad who is actually the best body surfer in the event. And he absolutely nailed it. So
good.
Big shout out to Mini Car. And he's one to watch for the future.
Absolutely. We might have to sign him to the Budgie Boys if he's not already signed to
the
team.
Sunny Coast.
Well, yeah, they're quite absent at the moment, I believe. But it was a fun day. I really enjoyed it. And I went back and watched Jesse Mawson, who got third place.
He did well.
Jared Bridges took out first position. Ricky got second. So very competitive on that second day. And I got to call the final, which was a lot of fun and got me ready.
Got you ready?
For the big event that's coming up this Saturday, the Australian Body Surfing Classic at Kiama Beach. Now, we've gotten the tap on the shoulder, Robbie. You, me, Luke Brabot, maybe a few others. We're going to try and fill the void that is Belly Slater.
The enormous void of the one and only, the real godfather of body surfing in Australia, Belly Slater.
How have you been practicing?
I have got like a flying V, Belly Slater flying V. And
what, you're just getting into the spirit of belly?
Yeah, so I've kicked my wife out of the bed, and now I sleep with the flying V with the Belly Slater. I have it with me all the time, and I just think froth.
It's a similar technique to Newcastle Knights legend Andrew Johns. He used to sleep with a football.
Well, I hear that the Newcastle Knights, Kalen Ponga is actually sleeping with Matty Johns every night.
I thought you were going to say it was the bloke in the cubicle, but
alleged cubicle.
Like Andrew Johns, literally when he was a kid, used to sleep with a football, and I've never seen the bloke drop a ball.
Oh, beautiful.
So if you're sleeping with your hand plane, I think that's just going to stick to you like there's no tomorrow.
And as we might have spoken about the last couple of weeks, I need as much help as possible holding on to the hand plane.
So how have you been preparing for your commentary duties?
So the commentary duties, I think it's last week was good fun on Saturday. So getting on the mic behind that for the Festival of Froth. And I've just recorded lots of voice notes of Belly, and I just listen to them as I go to sleep with my flying V with me, no wife in the bed, and that's it. That's that in a little bit. I might try to do a little bit of research on some of the competitors and some of the teams. Fortunately, I'm big on the Instagrams, and I've been to a couple of these events now where I know a lot of people. I try to get around.
Yeah.
So there's some dirt that's going to come out. So if you want to hear some very incriminating goss on some of the competitors there, I'm going to have some of it.
Yeah, that's good. How about calling a wave? Because I found it difficult, mainly because there was a few lulls, and because at the Festival of Froth there's normally only 4 people in the water at once. different story at the Australian Body Surfing Classic. There's going to be, 7 competitors in the water at once? So we'll be calling them like that.
Calling that. I like to sometimes, listen to the old Ray Hadley horse calls.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, just get that, here goes Tim with his slide into the right-hand side. Then we go Owie on the other side with a front flip. Owie for a front flip. Oh, my God. And then he goes straight into the shore and he gives birth to a child. Oh, Owie with the wave and the child in the same day.
This is going to be great. I didn't even think of calling it like a race, like a horse race.
Oh, I think that's the way we got to do it.
I've been watching a lot of NRL, so I'm thinking Dan Ganane, I'm thinking Andrew Voss.
Goodbye!
4 points, 3 letters, TRY. Like that's what I've been thinking about.
Well, I think that's a good mix then.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But maybe I've got to watch a few of the old race calls.
Yeah.
Maybe
we'll get a punt tonight.
What do you mean?
We go for a punt.
Oh, right. I'm off the punt, but I'll come
You're
and
off the
watch.
punt?
Yeah,
I don't really punt either.
Why did you suggest
Well, we
it?
just go have a look, to get some of the horse calls. What I mean?
Absolutely. They just whack on Sky 1 or 2, probably 2, because they'll have slower race callers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sky 1's a bit too quick for me. Sky 2's very slow.
Yeah.
So we'll be watching some harness racing a bit later to get our head around the call. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun and a few guest appearances, hopefully, while we're in the commentary box at the Australian Body Surfing Classic at Kiama Beach this Saturday. I thought it'd be a good idea to check in with the co-host of the Body Surf podcast, Matthew Owie O'Donnell.
The real co-host.
Yeah, he's been MIA for a while. He's been very busy
preparing to be a dad. He's currently a dart, if you remember from the other week.
Great callback. He's actually preparing for Whomp off. I think he's putting a lot more...
he's not caring about the child or the prepping for the child.
He's got a few different duties at the moment, wearing a few different hats. So let's catch up with him right now. We spoke to him a little earlier. Here he is, Matthew Owie O'Donnell, co-host of the Bodysurf podcast and the captain of the Budgie Boys. How you doing, Owie?
Good, mate. It's been a long time, but it has been some of the best times of my life not being on the show. It's just stress-free. I'm living my life. I'm up here. I'm hiding away on the sunny Central Coast. And I'm just doing it. I'm doing it good. I'm doing good, Timmy. How are you?
I'm doing well. I wouldn't say you're stress-free. You're about to have a kid, your first kid. I would imagine that would be very stressful.
No, not in the slightest, Tim. I'm not doing any of the heavy lifting. April's got it down pat. I'm looking at her right now. She's hard at work over there on our new laptop. By the way, Timmy, did I tell you we have a new laptop, meaning that I'll be able to produce some very good content coming up over the next couple of months. Obviously, we have our hiatus after the Australian Body Surfing Classic, so who knows when they're going to hear this great content. But I have the ability to record now, Timmy. So, as I said, April's doing all the heavy lifting. I am relaxing, mowing the lawn, watching my grass grow, and just maxing and relaxing.
Sounds pretty good. You'll have the Scotty Cam ISDN line hooked up pretty soon, so we'll be able to dial into the interactive studio. I'm very excited about that. But we should talk about this pending birth because it may affect whether or not you're going to be able to compete in the Australian Body Surfing Classic this Saturday at Kiama.
Yeah, well, that's true, Tim. Our baby is due on Saturday. And listen, I've got many an eye roll from my pregnant wife saying, why are you driving 3 hours away when you know that the baby could come at any second? And I've said to her, I've gone, statistically, it's not likely that the baby's going to come on the due date. If it comes before, that's fair enough. I'll have to hang up the boots for this year. And that's an exclusive. If the baby comes before Whomp off, I will not be attending.
Do you think Jesse Mawson's up for the challenge? Do you think he's ready to step into the captain's seat?
I think so. He's been in the shadows for a while, but a third place at the Northern Beaches Body Surfing comp at the Festival of Frost just last weekend. He's there. He's ready to take on the role. Timmy, so that's the exclusive, mate. I will not be there if our baby comes beforehand. And I'll be on speed dial. Now, April has specifically said to me, I need to have my phone on, she's pointing at things at me right now, on the table of the judges. Yes, on the table of the judges, not on silent. If at any second I get a phone call from April to say that she's going into labour, I need to be yanked out of the water. Even if I'm in my individual heat, I need to just come straight out and hop in my car and drive as fast as I can, police escort back to the Central Coast. Yeah, Corey Sainsbury, please, if you can organise that, mate, that would be wonderful. But yeah, that's the stipulations of me being able to come down. Now, obviously, I'm not going to leave the Budgie Boys high and dry. I will get there at any cost. And it is one of the great events of the year. You know, everyone who's about body surfing in Australia is there. And I just want to be there as well, Tim. You know, it's the baby's going to be around for a long time, but there's only one Australian Body Surfing Classic 2023.
Now, Owie, maybe you leave your phone with a member of the continuous call team.
The continuous call team.
And they can announce over the loud PA system if your wife has gone into labour, and we can yank you out of the water as soon as possible and get that police escort happening. Now, let's talk about Kiama, Owie. You've surfed down south here and there. What are we looking at? Are we expecting a bit of swell this Saturday? I know it's going to be hot.
Oh yeah, mate. We've all had a blowhole. You know, it's nothing new. It's nothing new to us there. Everyone's been down south, you know, and it's one of those things where once you've been down south, the waves are like nothing else. And so everyone who's going there on the weekend is prepared at least to some extent. Now, I would say the South Coast body surfers, they've got to be the most well prepared. They know that break like nothing else. I have seen Main Beach from afar. It's a quite narrow beach. Similar, I guess, in a way to Tamarama for us Sydney-sided. Listen, I'm not sure how the conditions are going to go. It's looking like we might get some long-range east swell and northwesterly winds, which will suit the day and the location quite well. I'm predicting that we'll get a similar sort of show of waves as last year, maybe a bit smaller. But you know what? Last year we were worried that we weren't even going to get a ripple. So if we can get that kind of 2 to 3 clean conditions, everyone will be within a shot. And you'd have to say the Budgie Boys are going in second seed. I know there's a lot of teams joining back in to the Australian Body Surfing Classic this year that have been a bit silent for a while, and they have some good body surfers. But you know what? No defin. I'd say Timmy, we've got a red-hot crack at this.
Well, I was going to say, without the showing of Defin, it puts Cobras at first seed, which is where they belong. It's their year, but I'm thinking Whomming are going to give them a run for their money. I know the Budgie Boys are up there, and technically we are second seed because of how we did last year. But I'm thinking there's going to be, as you mentioned, some people we haven't seen for a while. The Goldie Coasty Boys, are they hanging around? I don't think they are, actually. But then we've got the inclusion of the South Coast body surfers who, as you said, know that wave very, very well. But we haven't seen them for a while, so they might be coming out with some crackers.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Tim. You just don't know. Chris, who is on that team, Ecto, for those of you playing at home, he surfed quite well at the competition on the weekend, and I think he made the final of the International Body Surfing Association comp. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's a great surfer, and so you know they've got high quality surfers in their team throughout all the teams. You know, there's probably 2 or 3 really good body surfers in each team. And this year, you know, it's gonna be a lot more even because you can't just rely on your 1 and 2 individual swimmers. You know, there's 5 swimmers that are competing in the individual heats this year, Tim. So you need to have a good quality side all round. Otherwise, you're going to get found out. The Budgie boys may get found out. Just putting it out there. We're not that good. We fluked it last year. Now I know that we've been saying we're top shit. We're top dog, and rightly so. We beat the brains out of the rest of the competition. The truth of it is, the Finn's not there, and so the Cobras should take the win. They're the red hot favourites. So it's the Cobras and the rest. So second spot is up for grabs for someone. Maybe it can be the Budgie boys. Who knows? I'll put our hat in the ring. I would say we have a good shot, but there's a lot of competition, Timmy.
I would be saying the favourites would be the South Coast boys, because they obviously know Kiama very well. But I think the teams travelling from a bit further north are red hot go as well. We've got a team of ladies exclusively from around the Newcastle area. We've also got Whomming, who are sort of from the Tweedish area. And then we also have the Stocko boys. So some people are travelling from far north to come right down south. And while they're going to be fish out of water, there's some really good body surfers that come from that area.
Well, yeah, Tim, you've hit the nail on the head there. If you think of the Newcastle area, particularly the women, there's a big contingent of female body surfers there that compete in their, what's their competition called again off the top of my head? Flat Rock, yes, thank you. My brain's trust over here is helping me. The women compete at Flat Rock, and Flat Rock is a pretty intimidating wave. So these women up there, they're nothing to be sneezed at, Girls can body surf too, and that's the great thing about body surfing, is that it's such a technique-driven sport. It doesn't matter whether you're male or female or anywhere in between. It's about your technique, and if you can body surf well according to the conditions and the rules set before you, you're in with a chance. I am not sure this year about the scoring and whether females score more points. I know that has happened in the past. You'd have to say if the scoring is that way inclined this year, that the girls are within a red hot crack, they could go really well. Stocko Wampers, they love a shore break. Kiama Main Beach is, from memory, a bit of a left-hander, sort of a bit reefy. Is it going to play into their hands? Not sure. But really good quality surfers and body surf all the time. They're fresh, they're ready to go. Unlike a lot of other teams, my hands up, I have not surfed for a good 3 months. I think I've been in the water once.
I've been in the water a lot, Owie. I'm ready. I think I'll be slipping into co-captain if you're unavailable. So I'll be making some hard decisions and cutting most of the team and recruiting elsewhere. So I'm ready to go as well, mate. Give us your top three. Who do you think are going to be on the podium at the end of the day?
Okay, well, as we still track north up the coast, Timmy, you've got to say Womman are the dark horse here. I'm pretty sure they haven't competed for a couple of years at the Australian Body Surfing Classic. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. But good quality surfers, and they've just finished up doing their Whomp comps. I think they had the last one either at the start of the year or at the end of last year. Really good quality comps. I've been to one. It was maybe the smallest surf I have ever swum in at that competition, but really fun vibe. And they're great body surfers. They're similar in style, I guess, to your Cobras, because they're kind of like no one really knows exactly who they all are, and then they just turn up on the day and they shred. So I'd have to say maybe Womman could be up there, but you've got the likes of the Eastern Sydney Body Surfers, which had a terrible year last year. It has to be said. They'll be looking for redemption. They've got to be up there too. South Coast Body Surfers having the home ground advantage, they're going to be right on it. And then even teams like Maroubra, for instance, they've been swimming a bit. They've got a really good break that is very consistent. They're only going to get better. to really boil it down into three, it would be really, really hard. You'd have to say the Cobras are up there. I'm going to say the Budgie Boys are probably dropping out unless we can perform well in the fin sprint. And, that's what got us over the line last year. I would say we're probably going to be a few rungs down. But you know what? We had the glory last year, and that's all we needed. So Cobras won. Maybe Eastern Sydney Body Surfers can put it together, and they might take second spot. And then probably a big return for the South Coast Body Surfers. Ooh. I reckon they might take out third.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you for that analysis. Now, before I let you go, what's your final word? What's your last piece of advice to everyone that's going to be competing at Kiama on Saturday?
Well, I say it quite often, and it's just that body surfing is about having fun. It's not about how many points you can score or how far up the leaderboard you get, even though, oh man, it felt good last year. And I'll never let it down. I'll be telling everyone until the day I die that we were the third best team in the world and the second best in Australia. And that's all it is. Dave Malloy was right. We're never going to hear the end of this. No, you never will, Dave. I'm sorry. I'm going to be telling everyone. But as I said, have fun. Put some sun cream on because it's going to be hot. And you never regret getting wet, as Bondi would say. You'd never do. And condolences to Bondi, just as a serious note, lost his dad recently and won't be competing with us this weekend. We'll be competing for Bondi and for his dad. I don't know how well we're going to go, Bondi, but it's just that thing. The community's going to come together. We're going to have highs, we're going to have lows, but let's just have a good time.
Well said. Thanks for catching up, Bowie, and I'll see you hopefully on Saturday.
No worries, Timmy. Never forget, it's always overhead.
Matthew Owie O'Donnell there, the co-host of the Bodysurf podcast and the captain of the Budgie Boys. What do you think about that? He's back in East Sydney Bodysurfers.
He's back in East Sydney, and it was painful for him to say. I could
it really
hear
was.
the pain in his throat, and he's just going East Sydney in second, and I think we'll probably do better than that. We've got a solid team this year, as we normally do in the East. We went back, we planned, we saw what was wrong, and apparently that was me. And we got me out of the sprint team. We've got me out of the individuals, and we've recruited really well, as all East Sydney teams do.
Yeah,
we will do well.
A big salary cap, and you've done well, and you do have a team of all stars, and hopefully you'll just blow us away. Not only in the fin sprint with your new legs that you got,
elite team, I think,
but also in the water. I'm very excited to see you guys jump in and show us what you do. Is Barrel Pig in your team?
Oh, Barrel Pig is in our team. Barrel Pig's in our team, mate. We've got Dean Jezza, who's just been training in Hawaii.
Ooh.
Just got back in yesterday, straight to Tamarama, into 4-5 foot absolute slugs of waves. Mate, we have got this pinned. Now, I want to be as confident as possible going into this so that there's absolutely no regret when we win.
We might do a bit of the Maroons tactic and say, there's a bit of a bug going through the Budgie Boys.
The underdog
we're not gonna be at full strength, but I will go out there and give it our all.
Well, I think your issue is that what Matty O'Donnell just said was it's not about winning. This is body surfing. This is the ABC. It is only about winning. We do not want to have fun out there. We're here to win. We're here to take waves and show everyone our great rigs.
Well, yeah, the rigs will be out for everyone to see. But what the Budgie Boys have always done is just try to improve on the year before. And we exceeded our expectations last year by coming third. So we've got really nowhere to go.
Mate, you've still got some pretty good surfers in your team, Like you've got Hamish Christie, fresh off having a kid. He's got that daddy strength. You've got the daddy of all daddies, Darryl Riley. You know what I mean? Don't forget about the big one who's just had a few little naps in Fiji.
Yeah.
Alex Wolfenson.
Yeah, Wolfo has also been putting his hand up for an individual ride.
Oh,
and,
he would.
You know, he's the only member of the Budgie Boys with a sponsorship deal, so
Absolutely.
it's going to be fun to see what he can do on a tray on the day.
Yeah, Trey.
Let's go through the teams. The pools were drawn today. Ricky went live on Instagram. Let's go through these teams and see what we're dealing with on Saturday.
Now, I don't have the pools in front of me, but I do have the squad list.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I didn't make this list, but ESBS is at the top. So, look, I'm just saying it could be a bit of an omen. So, are we going through the names?
Yeah, let's
couple
go.
of the names in there. So, we've got Ricky Gilby, who is the founder of War Handplanes.
Yep.
In ESBS, we have the Flying Dutchman, Robin Coolman, RC Handplanes. He's back from the abyss.
Famously went the double hand
The
plane
double hand plane.
a few years
yeah,
ago.
that's
which was
him for the
very
longest
impressive.
ride. We have Jake, the Rosenbrook, the Godfather, the Barrel Pig.
Who did very well at the Festival of Froth. on
And
the
now
weekend.
one of our new recruits this year is a Logan. Logan is a Maroubra boy.
Mhm.
He often swims in the surf with no fins, no hand plane, and he's been charging all over the east in the last year and a half.
And he's quick on the fins as
Oh,
well.
and
I
he's
hear.
quick. Yeah, he's very much one of our new recruits in the beach sprint. We have me, obviously, a legend. Haven't surfed for a little bit because of bung ankle, but trust me, I've still got it.
Was there ever concerns that you might be demoted to Maroubra?
Yeah, that was calls for it. Absolute calls for it. But I'm the one that organised all the stuff. So poor Kodor Hodor, who's never lost an individual heat, he was being a bit slack. And so I just took the reins and I said, I'm in the team.
Right.
So that's what happens when you just run the group chat. I am absolutely nepotism at the finest. We have Mal Grave, we have Dean Jezero, as I mentioned already. We have Michael Hyde, who's like one of the elite personal trainers in Bondi. And then we have his son, who is an absolute waterman, tap dancer as well. So you know he's quick on his feet and he'll smash it.
So Paul's not in the team.
Paul Kodor's there, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
he is,
yeah. He's still our captain, El Capitan.
That's a big team. Have you got some reserves in the wings?
That's 10 people. Yeah, 10 people.
I think because we've got a few falling.
You got a few.
Like
You don't have the
flies.
full list. Yeah.
All right. Well, give us your top three. Let's exclude East.
Oh, okay.
Who do you think is going to be there on the podium at the end of?
I think the Cobras. You know, the Cobras turned out to the froth as well, and they've got some of the absolute legends. They have Jack Vintel, who got one of the most legendary waves at Deadman's last year and got put in a magazine.
Oh, well.
Body surfing Deadman's off Manly. Absolute hectic. You've got the Chocolate Eclair Eater in DK. And then you've got Lockie Roberts, who actually charges down the south coast on like big guns, and he's just like absolute legend. He came second at Slidefest a few years ago. So Cobras have to be hectic. I think the ladies are going to come in the top three as well. Like you've got Caitlin Callahan, who just like surfed down at Tasmania. Now it's Ship Stearns Bluff, which I got wrong last time.
No one corrected you.
No, I got corrections.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
By who?
Owie got me straight away.
right.
I was like, mate, you're on my podcast and
It's
you're
good to
making
know
it
Owie listens.
absolute mockery. So I think the ladies are in there. I think the Budgie Boys are not going to be anywhere close. And then maybe I'm going to go the wild cards. I think if you're a wild card, you're committed.
Yeah.
And wild cards have got a Jonty from Perth flying over. Jonty is an absolute legend. I met him. I flew over to Perth and we had a body surf over there. And he was like frothing. He was sleeping in the back of his Nissan Micra. He was out there in the Margaret River down the south coast of Perth, and like we got wave after wave. He was out there near the comps, near the Margaret River Surf Comp, surfing with the sharks down there. So I think he's going to lead the team. You've got the return of the Iguana, who used to be one of the great ESBS body surfers. So I think the wild cards could be a smoker.
We'll have to keep an eye on these wild cards. Are there two wild card teams?
Yeah, there's two wild cards. So the one that I actually wanted to have as the wild card winner, but I misread my Q notes, is the Surfers for Climate.
Yes.
And the Surfers for Climate, Josh Kirkman, he actually podiumed. No, he won the IBSA competition at the Festival of Froth.
Yeah.
So I think you've got him. You've got two Goldie Sliders in that team. You've got the iguana, and I think if you're keen enough on body surfing to have no friends but still sign up for a competition, you know what I mean? I reckon you must be committed.
It is hard body surfing by yourself. So these, what would you call them? Rambos.
The absolute mavericks.
Yes. The lone wolves. They're going to come in hot, and it's going to be exciting. And we'll have to really keep an eye on them because we don't really know their narrative. So they're a bunch of misfits.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they could definitely have a run on the day. So that's going to be very exciting to see. Have you ever surfed Kiama Beach?
Mate, I tried to surf it this weekend. So Sunday we were meant to go down there, and we got there. Well, I was late. I was still driving. I was like 30 minutes behind my mate Dylan. And he gets to the Kiama Beach and goes, not on here. And this is a little bit familiar for you because Owie does this all the time. So, all right, no worries. Check the next beach. Checks the next beach. Nah, not on. All right, let's meet at Mystics. Get to Mystics. Obviously, it's not on. We drive past Kiama. Kiama was working. It was all right. So we had a nice little look at it. We didn't get in. We got some burgers from down the road. But it looked like a nice little wave. I think we could be on for some fun this weekend.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
conditions are really starting to tee up to be beautiful.
I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to the big dance.
Ooh.
I know that gets thrown around a lot this time of year, but I think we should start greeting each other by saying good body surfing to you.
Oh, good body surfing to you,
and to
and
your
also
family.
with you.
Yes,
Yeah.
with you
And with your family.
and your family. And I'm very, very excited about Saturday. I don't have much more to say except the Budgie boys are going to be doing what they do every year. Carrying on, jumping in the water, having a crack, trying to catch a wave.
Maybe adding to the childcare system you guys have there.
We might have an extra addition to the team.
So actually, this is something that's, now that, I heard about Bondi, and he's not going to be there, who is going to be the head of childcare for the Budgie boys?
Oh, I'm not sure who's down the pecking order. See, Hamish should probably be given that role as the newest recruit, but he's actually an assistant producer of the podcast, so he's already got a role.
Yeah.
Who
and
else?
your best Patreon fan.
Yeah, he's the only one on the Patreon. He's keeping this alive.
I think because of the carry-on from the weekend, if I can put my suggestion in there for head of childcare, it's Jesse. It's Jesse Mawson.
Well, Jesse's co-captain could be captain, so he won't be assigning himself that role.
Oh, I thought you were captain.
No, I think I'm third down the list,
Oh,
so I'll be going into co-captain. I think.
Right.
I don't know because we've got a few ring-ins, and so they might get.
You can't bring a ring in though. You're going to trust them with your kids.
Yeah.
Well, it's not your kids; it's someone else's kids. Yeah, take the kids. Who cares?
So the head of childcare, and that role is getting bigger and bigger because there's a few more Budgie boys being born of late. So.
The Budgie babies.
Head of childcare used to be a laugh. You used to just sit back
it.
and do nothing. Now you got to actually pull your finger out and do a bit of work. So very exciting. Let's get this thing going.
Yeah.
I don't know how we can officially start the Whomp off era, the Whomp off weekend, the Whomp off the festival of Whomp. But it's here.
It is here, and it's very exciting. And I love it. And, great podcasting where both people just forget what they're saying and where they're going next to. But what I really wanted to know is, like, we talked about some of the teams. We've spoken about some of the body surfers that might be there. What about, like, some of the type of waves and the tricks you want to see on the waves? What are you looking out for? What are you excited to commentate? What's going to get you up to have the good boy?
The crowd favourite is the front flip.
Oh,
and
the
we've
front
seen
flip.
a few of them.
A few of
lately.
them, like they took off on the weekend on Saturday at the IBSA, and they did a front flip, but they did it into the whitewash. They kind of swam out of it. But do you think that counts? Do you think that's good enough?
If you don't fall off the back, I think it counts. I mean, I've only ever seen someone do it along the face of the wave and then continue riding the face of the wave.
Last year, one of the Hawaiians did it on the face of the wave.
And surely that's a 10 out of 10 ride.
And it was beautiful.
And I'll say this until the day I die. The reform of that wave was better than most other waves that day. So That's a 10 out of 10 for
Yeah.
me. We saw something a little bit new recently. Some people doing some cutback, some carving.
The cutbacks have been taking
Yeah.
it down. So I think Justin Spittle, who's surfing for the South Coast, driving all the way up from Melbourne, he's good at the cutback. He's got some beautiful cutbacks. I think they look good as well.
Yep, and then we've got the rollos, we've got the spins, we've got the reverse spins.
Yep. So what I was calling the dolphins, but are the swan dives.
The swanny
when you do a
dives.
swan dive
Yeah,
over
yeah.
the top.
But at the end of the day, what I like to see as a purist is just someone riding a wave for as long as possible. Sometimes getting the barrel, not always. Just getting along that face.
Yeah.
That's what I like to see.
So you like the long wave event?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm not that great at it. I think there was a few years ago at Cronulla where there was a picture of me and I felt like I caught the longest wave, but it was just because it wasn't breaking and I was just sitting on it the whole time.
Well, that sort of counts if you're on it for longer than 3 seconds. That's a wave.
But I do like that event, and I do like the way Ricky has formatted this event and this competition because it's a bit more versatile. We get to sort of play with a few ideas. The judging criteria has also been posted today. It's a very interesting read. You should check that out before jumping in the water because it really clarifies what they're looking for in longest ride, but also in the tricks event. So, and then I'm guessing the individual is just free for all. It's just whatever you
That's
feel.
your classic, tricks events. That's where you get some of those things as well. I think I like the longest ride event because when you go down to the beach, on a Saturday or a Sunday morning and you see people body surfing every day, they're not doing the spins.
No.
They're not doing a front flip. They're getting in a really critical part of the wave. They get in a great position. They're holding their body tight.
Yeah.
And they're absolutely gliding like a dolphin across the front of that wave. And for me, that's my favorite type of body surfing.
For sure.
I love when you're in that feeling where you just got it and you're slamming it straight across. And the best thing that can ever happen, it's when it might be a little bit bigger in the surf and then a surfer, a traditional surfer, an analog surfer with the surfboard, gives you a yule. You know what I mean? And when you're a surfer Maroubra, and that might be a bra boy giving you a yule, it's probably not, you feel pretty good with yourself and you walk around a little bit bigger.
Imagine if the bra boys entered a team into the Australian Body Surfing
That would be pretty
Classic.
good.
That would be amazing. Anywho, we got to get out of here. We got to go start training because we're only a few days away from the Australian Body Surfing Classic at Kiama Beach this Saturday. I'm very excited. The Budgie boys are excited. East Sydney body surfers are excited.
Oh, yeah. All the teams are excited.
The entire body surfing community is excited. I can't wait to compete, but also call it with you and Luke Brabot and a few special guests that we have lined up. But for now, we got to get out of here. Do it all again real soon. But remember,
it's always overhead when you're body surfing.
bye.